Welcome to my Ten Commandments Part 3. Here, right picking up where we left off, we're at where the fire of God is now separating the Hebrews from the Egyptian army. In fact, I think here Moses is just about to part the Red Sea. Or I should say, God parted the Red Sea. The next few scenes coming up in this movie are really awesome. DeMille probably used a combination of using a model and then a scale model and then filming the waters flowing over it and then playing the film in reverse. And later, I think when the Israelites actually cross the Red Sea, he again uses some form of double exposure to fill in the space that's in the other original film. But at any rate, it's really beautifully done. Showing the expressions on some of the actors' faces here in these little quick clips, especially the goat lady and the kid that are in the crowd, are a really nice touch. It adds to the drama. At about 1:54 in the movie, or in this clip, in my version of the clip, we have another good quote from Exodus, and best of all, this time, DeMille isn't planning to use the Bible verses as a substitute for action. Here, from about 2:05, the Israelites start crossing the parted Red Sea, and this looks like a really good use of double exposure. You can actually see where they've, for lack of a better word, I can't think of the proper word, where they've pasted the new film clip of them crossing into the middle of the other film clip. But it's very beautiful. It doesn't really, how he did it in a sense doesn't really matter as much as how the magic of how he actually brings the what's described in the Bible to life. Again, here I think in mentioning all these about the 1920s special effects, I really think DeMille should be praised for using the best technology available to him at the time to bring these events out of the Bible to life and recreate them so that we can see a version of them. Now, at 4 minutes and 4 seconds, basically as soon as they've crossed over the Red Sea, that sure looks like Dathan there buddying up to Moses. And considering he was bad-mouthing him just a few minutes ago in the last clip, I wouldn't trust anything he says if I was Moses. I think Dathan he's a narcissist. He's really only out for himself. Again, besides the fact that Dathan isn't even supposed to be in this part of the story, he's not in these events of the Bible, or not listed in them anyway. Whether he was there or not is another issue. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely getting tired of seeing this guy in these scenes that he's not even supposed to be in. In this film, Dathan is probably used as a stand-in for all the groups of Israelites that came to oppose Moses during his time of leading them through the desert. But in reality, it wasn't one person that was constantly against him. It was several different groups of Hebrews throughout Moses' leadership that all would rebel against him, even including his own sister Miriam, whenever they became dissatisfied with their circumstances. From about 4:32 the scene where we have the Pharaoh at the head of his army charging into the parted waters between the Red Sea again is a really beautiful, masterful filming from DeMille. He really makes this scene as dramatic as possible by using very quick and focused camera cuts back and forth between the two sets of action sequences, and deliberate cuts back and forth between the two scenes, or two different scenes, to heighten the suspense. This was a really commonly used trick in a lot of films from the 20s and 30s, especially westerns that would have a lot of chase sequences and pursuits of, bands of outlaws, or in which, especially ones in which the actors were often shown on horseback. Simple tricks such as merely deliberately using choppy editing to cut back and forth between the scenes of the two parties, of one chasing the other, can greatly increase the suspense just by the use of such a simple trick. Now, from about 6:45 in the film, most of the main events of the exodus from Egypt are done, and the Egyptian army's been destroyed. So now we're going to jump ahead a few months to the next events described in the Bible. From about 7:15 in my clip of this part 3 here, we have Moses on the top of Mount Sinai, about to receive the 10 Commandments from God. So now we're approximately in Exodus chapter 31. From about 8 minutes on, personally, I must say I like the way that DeMille has chosen to highlight the giving of the 10 Commandments to Moses. Again, DeMille skillfully uses, to the best of his ability, the technology available in his day to show us both what is a historical and unique supernatural event in history. Okay, from about 8:43 in my version of these clips, we now jump ahead. Moses is still on Mount Sinai, but we now jump ahead to the next big section of the Exodus story, which is chapter 32. Basically, because Moses was up on top of the mountain with God for 40 days and nights, so the rest of the Hebrews got tired of waiting for him, or maybe they assumed he was dead, and so they decided to decide here to make their own religion. From about 9 minutes and 10 seconds, Aaron is shown making the golden calf. By about 10 minutes and 20 seconds here in my clip, the calf is shown finished, and I think that's Miriam shown polishing the feet of the calf here. This part of the film with Miriam polishing the calf makes me think of something really dirty that I can't say and keep this video family friendly. Even this scene, I think, has been very, very cleverly designed to suggest a sexual act without showing what we're led to think in explicit detail. partly due to the strict censorship of the times. These old films actually force us to use our imagination a lot more than, say, newer films do, which are allowed in many cases to show certain things in explicit detail. Okay, on a really serious note, I have to say I like the fact that that DeMille has included these scenes of the Hebrews making the idol and worshiping it, just for the fact that this content appears many, many times in the Old Testament, and it's sad commentary that God knows about man's tendency that we love to make our own idols and make things that we can worship. Even though now in modern days it would be our career or a BMW or our family or something else that we make into an idol. But the point of it is that man loves to worship what his own hands have made instead of God. The Bible says out of all the false gods that humans love, our most favorite one to worship is ourself. I think the man wearing armor here who sort of rebukes Aaron and Miriam for making the calf, I think is Joshua. But at any rate, if we look carefully, not minutes after, we see Dathan appearing again to try and silence him, I suppose. And then I think Dathan chases him away. Okay, at 11:43 it now says that the Hebrews stripped themselves and bowed down and worshipped to this golden calf idol that they had made. From about 12:25 on, I think in my section of these clips, it shows the Hebrews indulging in some, I guess, pagan worship, and this is a sanitized version of what would have really happened in the actual events in the Bible. The bull calf god that they had made was a fertility god, so that means the real worship. The reason the Hebrews would have all stripped is because they would have engaged in some probably fertility rituals, which usually involve sex with a lot of different people. Probably the reality of what would have happened in this part of the Bible would have looked an awful lot like an orgy in ancient Rome, or maybe a German swingers nightclub or something like that. But none of that could actually be shown here, so I give DeMille credit for showing a sanitized version of what he's actual, a version of the actual events, because there's no way to film the reality and keep the movie family friendly. If the real story would have looked like, I think there was a porno movie one, it was about the Roman Emperor Caligula, where they showed the Roman orgies and had real sex and stuff, and if DeMille or anyone would have done that in this movie, it would have had an X rating. So here again, I don't fault him in the least for cleaning up some of the details of the story and sanitizing the actual events in order to show the film to a general audience. And as the Bible indeed tells us, no sooner had Moses actually finished copying the law, the Ten Commandments, onto the stone tablets, or had just received the original stone tablets from God, as God interrupted to tell him that the people had already prostituted themselves to the idol. Here at about 14 and a half minutes, the script says that the Israelites say to each other, "Come worship the golden god of pleasure." Yeah, God of pleasure indeed. Anyway, I hope you'll stay tuned here for the next installment. I have to cut the video here, so the rest of it will be talked about or finished off in part 4.